let you.
3, 2, 1. We're live. Though you've had an absence, and people are going to be irritated by that because I don't wear makeup or have boobies.
I did. I had a sabbatical, brief hiatus, because I hate anything that's not football season.
Yeah, and so you still have like 70 or something days to go before you get any football, and that's going to be an interesting
I could have
time.
reported on the cornhole championships. You know what really was made that even funnier is that it was a replay. It wasn't even.
No. You left the second half of that off.
Okay, so
It was a replay, and they were playing that over World Cup matches.
World Cup, and wasn't there golf or something else on?
Well, that was on the other channel. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
that was still on, but yeah. I was like, go World Cup. You just got beat by a replay of cornhole championships.
I didn't know that was a thing. That's what made it more awesome for me, is that it brought something new into my life.
And you got to tell people, because it's early in the, so you still got people that are going to be watching super early like this. You're a PI now.
Shh, that's private.
It's not private.
It is private.
Well, I mean,
It's
people need to be calling you to
People need to
dig
know
up
my
shit.
news. Yeah, no. So on top of the other things that I do, I became a private investigator. So that's the other thing I'm doing now.
Which
You know what?
is perfect for you.
You know what's funny? No, because I told a couple of women, and it was funny because they all kind of said the same thing. It's the perfect job for women just because we're nosy as... Can I swear on your show?
Yeah, you can swear on my show.
We're nosy as shit. And It's like, when a woman wants information, she will not stop until she gets it.
That's what I'm saying, is that
Therefore,
when you take that woman trait from you and some of the other things you're good at as far as digging shit up and getting into stuff anyway, that's
this is
beyond normal
it's
women.
not making me look good. She's really good at
And then
digging
you
shit
combine
up.
that with some of the very special skills and tactics that our government so blessed me with.
Yeah.
People are in trouble, man.
It's interesting, though. I did
Call 1-800 dig shit up.
1-800 dig shit up, but I was doing surveillance. Forget it. I won't say.
Yeah, you can't. No,
It
well,
was
that's
just,
it. Yeah,
it was really bad. When initially I was doing some of my classes and things of that nature, we had to do surveillance in groups, and let's just say my group was not the best.
No.
I mean, from the get-go. I mean, we hadn't even left the parking lot yet. Not even left the parking lot. And I was like, all right, you're going to be the eye. You're going to you let me know. I'm going to post up right here. You let me know when you see the subject leave the building. Subject leaves the building. Right. And you got to remember, of course, well, I don't know if other people know this, but so I positioned myself in such a way that I could not see the building per se. I was in a place where I was blocking off the parking lot, so I could see wherever he was leaving, and he hadn't left yet. And then eventually, when he left, once again, I reiterated to the other team, "You are the eye. Let me know which direction." Blah 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 blah. It got to a point that I said to the other guy in my car, I said, "Okay, he's got to be gone." So I radioed into my guy and I said, "Hey, has he left yet?" "Yeah, I was waiting for you to tell me where he went."
This is like, what was that show? Hi, I'm Daryl. This is my brother Daryl. This is my other brother Daryl. That's like,
so
right?
Yes, that was oh gosh.
I don't remember,
Son
but
of
I
a-
remember that
Newhart?
part. Yeah, Bob Newhart. Yeah. Okay.
World.
Yeah,
Anyways, that's that story. A lot going on in the sports world. Yes and no. I mean, the NBA Finals was so underwhelming. It hurt me. Like, I would have rather watched the Spelling Bee Championships.
You did, actually.
Well,
not over it, but you watched it, but whatever.
Watch it.
Yeah.
I'm just in awe that that's a sport. And people actually tried to argue with me why that was a sport. Whatever. So, I mean, I like good spellers. I appreciate it. I just don't think it's a sport.
It's not a sport.
It's not a sport. It's an intellectual talent.
Right. It's not a sport.
It's not a sport. People just stop it. Stop it.
It is not a sport.
Stop it.
Get out of here. Poker is not a sport either, thank you. And I'm about to challenge the cornhole championships as being a sport.
It's physical.
Yeah, they should have to drink a little bit in between tosses or something.
So okay.
That's how they really do it, right? I mean, let's be real.
Right. But let's talk about this then. This is an interesting segue. I want to talk about the Julian Edelman suspension. I want to talk about a couple of things. But since you're leading into it with the drinking while playing sports, you had mentioned that there's some league now.
High Rollers League.
High Rollers with a Z, I believe. That explain what it is.
So, super short is it's jiu-jitsu only, grappling only. It's in California. I don't know if it's in the other states where marijuana is legal or not. I just saw it's in California. Facebook page is California. So it's High Rollers with a Z league or event. It depends on which one you go. So jiu-jitsu matches that the participants are high.
Okay.
So high rollers roll in the joint in the fucking
okay, so you told me this, and I found it. I don't even want to say funny. It's just where our world is at. That's fucking ridiculous. So, from a scientific perspective, aside from it being stupid as shit, why is this bad? What could possibly go wrong?
So let's go the negative parts first, because there are some potential positives and there's potential negatives. Okay, in jiu-jitsu with marijuana. Okay, and now you can get into doses and what's better, all that crap to the side. The dangerous part, because I was asked for it, I was like, basically it's these series of things, but it's dangerous because people react to marijuana differently, and some people, the dangerous part. Most people, it reduces the amount you feel pain or increases your pain threshold, however you want to put that. It's the same thing, but either way. And for a good number of people, it at least slightly reduces reaction time. Okay. Most basic example that everybody understands is an arm bar, right? Your arm is in a bar. They're pushing your elbow, hyperextending your elbow to a position that's uncomfortable that you could break your arm, right? If you have an increased pain tolerance and your reaction is slow, do you actually know when to tap?
Right.
And then when you know when to tap, is it delayed slightly? Because we're talking in a sport, in a combat sport, that a fraction of a second is the difference of going out to going, my career's ended.
Right.
Okay. That's the dangerous part to me.
How long has this league been in existence?
Not that long.
Okay.
On a quick look, I mean, months, not years or anything, that kind of just months.
Do you know what is their following? What is their Facebook following? Are they big? Are they?
I looked on a bunch of their different pages. So I think it was on the Facebook side, I say around 10 to 30,000.
Wonder what their insurance has to be for this.
That's what it cannot be. I don't know how they're getting a commission through the State Commission Board of California. I don't know if these are commissioned, if they're sanctioned, if they're oversaw it. How you get insurance for this, I have no idea.
It's just dangerous.
From a liability side, I don't see it lasting very long, but this is dangerous. Now, on the benefits of people, you're going to get people saying all sorts of things as far as there's benefits and it's this and I roll all the time high and all this other kind of. I get it.
Okay.
You know, and that's kind of the funny part is because jiu-jitsu knows rolling. And the rolling and the Z. So it's kind of, there's some humor. I like it. It's funny, whatever. And this has nothing to do with legalization or not or any of that kind of crap. This is just about competition. There are fighters, and I'm going to use the big name, the Diaz brothers, that if you let them fight high, they'll probably beat everybody's ass in a half second.
Okay.
If they're not high, they're going to be world-class fighters, as we know, because they're being tested. But their skill is probably diminished because they most likely learned high, practice high, fight high. So you take that away from them, and it's almost like
you can fight high in UFC.
No,
they don't test that.
No. Well, I don't. On paper, you can't. Okay, so I'll just leave that there. On paper, you cannot fight while on marijuana.
Okay.
So
okay,
take that for what it's worth.
How long do you think this league's gonna last?
Until the first major accident. And they could get lucky. I mean, I'm shocked more serious injury hasn't happened in the UFC or the various other sports that are out, or the other MMA events that are out there.
All it takes is one idiot, man.
Yeah, but I mean, even in boxing, in all of boxing, I think we have one recorded death. I'm kind of surprised by that. more surprised than the UFC as long as it's been around, especially in
Yeah.
its first inception. You know,
Yeah.
back in the early 90s,
You
I'll
would
say
know that better
early
than me.
90s. I'm really surprised somebody didn't die there.
Yeah,
I'm just shocked by that.
maybe it'll do well.
So there's always a chance
High rollers
that they
with a
get
Z.
lucky, and high rollers with a Z. So check it. Give me your opinion, man.
Again, we're not slamming weed.
But no, it has nothing to do with that. It's just
We're slamming weed in competition.
in that competition.
In that
competition.
competition in particular.
Your boy JE11, man.
You know,
Julian
I
Edelman.
wanted, I was about to segue into something else, but I do want to talk about
Yeah.
Julian Edelman. So around, what's today's date?
17th, 18th.
Okay, so about a week and a half
18th.
ago,
Yeah.
it finally started leaking out that Julian Edelman was popped for one test out of hundreds he supposedly has taken in the past for PEDs.
Yeah.
Apparently, it was in the off season, about a month prior to when this came out.
Yeah, about a month prior to the suspension. So maybe a month and 2 months ago,
Okay.
roughly.
And for those of you who don't know, Julian Edelman had an injury last year. He tore his ACL.
Yeah, he missed the whole season.
So
he
he
did it
missed-
in preseason.
Correct. So he missed the whole season. He's coming back, and now he was slapped with a 4-game suspension
Mhm.
at the beginning of the season. All kinds of things going into that. So stimulants were ruled out because with the two different policies, there's the substance abuse policy and then there's a PED policy.
Yeah.
So stimulants are ruled out. He's going to miss 4 games, which will effectively cause him to lose about, I think it's at $1 million.
Yeah.
So $470,000 in salary, $100,000 in bonuses, and then if you get popped for PED abuse, he has to pay back some of his signing bonus. It was, almost
Yeah.
$400,000 back to the Patriots,
Yeah.
right?
Right around $1 million he's going to lose for this.
So the interesting part of this, and the reason I wanted to talk to you about it, is being a geneticist. You can maybe explain this a little bit. So there's this weird area. Nobody's really talking about it, but what they're saying is they don't really know why. It's coming out that we don't really know why he's being suspended. So what they said was this, according to Monday Morning Quarterback, who posted some of this information, the substance wasn't, quote, immediately recognizable.
Right.
So they sent it off to the lab to get it tested. Haven't really heard much since. So the debate is, how can you suspend somebody for something you don't know what it is? This is
Right.
absolutely ridiculous, and that's where I was. And so after talking to you a little bit, from a scientific perspective, explain to me, how can somebody potentially, you're not saying this is the reason, but potentially if this is legit, how can somebody be suspended for something if we don't know what it is?
So it goes to this. We have a slew of designer, in quotations for people that are listening later, designer drugs that come out for athletes.
Okay.
We learned this. The most prominent cases are I think it was the 88 Olympics, where you had the 100 meters and every single, Ben Johnson, the Canadian sprinter, had broke the world record and tested positive.
Yeah.
And we know since then, because we keep samples in the Olympics, that they were all dirty. Every single one of them was dirty, but they were using drugs that weren't testable at that time.
Okay.
Okay, so what's happened is we can't necessarily detect the designer drugs, but we can detect a foreign substance.
Okay.
So potentially, these are all potentials as I'm saying this. So potentially, Julian Edelman was taking a designer drug, in quotations again, a drug that isn't currently testable by our tests that we have, as far as identifying it specifically, or its or masking agents for it, or its residue effects, or there's ways that you can test for different substances. So basically, I think they discovered a substance that closely mimics a performance-enhancing drug. It's one or two structures, bonds, or chemicals different, so they don't know exactly how to classify it. But there's no other reason that substance would be in his body based on everything that he has disclosed he's taken.
Right. And remind me, is it required, the responsibility of, or just highly suggested that every athlete let the team know anything they're taking, what they're taking?
Yeah, so in the NFL, every sport's different a little bit. So in the NFL, they don't necessarily require you to tell them what you're taking, but what they do have is 24/7. There's people you can call, there's things you can send in, you can take a picture of what you want to take, and you send it into the team or the doctors or the NFL. I mean, there's so many avenues that these guys can do this. You send in, here is this supplement, or here is this medication, or here is these things that I want to take. Clear it. If you give them that information and they clear it, and that you get popped later, you're fine.
Right. Well,
because you
be.
got it cleared. Does that make sense?
Right.
Because especially in some instances, they'll say, okay, we don't know, give us a bit of it, and they'll test it to see, because as we know, even something as simple as creatine could be cut in the same facilities as narcotics in other countries. So therefore you can get popped for trace amounts of things, which Bones Jones is potentially going through right now.
Okay.
In his most recent one. So I said this in a post and things, it's inexcusable to take a medication or supplement and get popped because of that medication or supplement. It's inexcusable because it's impossible because you haven't disclosed it. Now, let me take that back. You can get popped, but you shouldn't receive any discipline for it because everything you take should be cleared. Right. As simple as that. And they've got lists of trusted companies, and it's really difficult for that to happen. So if Julian Edelman appropriately disclosed everything he's taking pre and even post, even like, hey, you popped me in, well, here's everything again, because I think they get that chance again, like, here's everything I'm taking again. And if none of those things match or match the substance that was in his body, or a combination of them couldn't create that substance in his body, then you have to raise the question, okay, is there something from a food based? Could it come from food? Does that make sense? Because we know in Mexico some meats are tainted with clenbuterol and such. So, but that would be tested. Like they'd know it would be, they'd know it'd be clenbuterol. So did he eat something that was there? Could he have ingested something? Did he travel internationally and could he have gotten something in from a food source? And if that's eliminated, with all due reason, then they're saying, okay, you've got something in your body that mimics a PED, you're busted.
Okay.
Unless you can prove conclusively otherwise.
But will they at least give the athlete that ability? Well, I mean, will they go to as many lengths as possible to try to figure out what that could possibly be? Or is it up to him?
On paper, if he has disclosed everything, okay, and then he goes, and then he wants to fight the...
which he's appealing, for sure.
So if you're going to go appeal the suspension, you, at that point, I think the burden is on you as the player. The players union helps you, because they obviously don't want any of their players suspended because it hurts their money, just like it hurts your money, and back and forth. But I believe they help you. But I think from reading what I read, I believe it's on the player at that point. Because there's all these questionnaires, and I mean, when you get popped, they're not just like, hey, you're popped, you're suspended. They let you know what's going on. Hey, give us everything else you were taking. Let's make sure this matches up. I mean, it's not so cut and dry.
Why do you think it's so quiet, though? There's not even trying to find information. There isn't anything. First of all, there wasn't anything in the beginning much, and then a week later, there still isn't much. You got to remember,
is a good number of times when guys are busted with PEDs and even on steroids, they just simply say substance abuse policy or PED policy. Very few times do they actually let out the substance itself.
Because it's up to, from what I understand, it's up to the player to reveal what it is. Yeah. Because never does the team either know or find it. They just know they violated the policy. Right. Okay.
And that's what I'm saying. So I don't want to say they're being secret, but it's, whatever, privacy concerns, and there could be slander involved. I don't know what the legal side of that is. But, so yeah, I mean, he got busted with something. I'm kind of surprised that it leaked out that it wasn't an identifiable substance immediately, which to me means it's a designer drug, again, in quotations, and they'll probably get to it pretty quick. I mean, our testing's good. Our testing's good in the sense that you can identify everything that should be in your body. Yeah. And when there's things that aren't, we have a pretty good scientific way of deductively eliminating other things. So
it's going to be interesting to find out because, now people are coming out like, oh, we've suspected him of being on stuff for a long time, and versus him saying, I've taken hundreds of tests. I have no idea. I've always been clean.
That's the other thing. And we talked about this with Bones Jones as well. If there were tests, we got to know what the substance is. Okay, so there's one thing. We're going to make some assumptions real quick. Most PEDs, if you take a test basically one in month A and one in month B, and they're apart, January and February, you take a test, and you're clean in one and you're dirty in the next, and then you take a third one in March, right? and you're clean, that's really hard to take any significant PED in that period of time in an off season. That's going to be clean, then dirty, then clean.
Okay.
Okay, so that's that.
Are you just saying because it stays in your system longer, or because if you're taking PED, you're going to be taking them back to back to back to back?
Typically, it's going to stay in your system longer.
Okay.
Most significant PEDs that you're going to use for recovery of, of your ligaments and joints and muscular tears and so on and so forth, those type, and then to actually increase your performance on the field, I mean, they're going to stay in your system at the least 8 weeks.
Oh, okay.
And now there's always variables, so I don't want people to get on my ass. Generally speaking, and even most designer drugs, excluding certain things, again, for performance, like you really need to perform, right? Because there's some things you could take on Friday to affect your game Sunday that'll be out of your system by next Tuesday or Wednesday. High risk, probably not worth it because of that teeny bit you're going to get on a football field isn't going to be beneficial. So I'm talking football specific. Things that will benefit your game or benefit your recovery are going to be in your system longer than a period of time. So if he was clean, dirty, clean in a relatively short period of time, something else is going on.
Right.
He got something that was tainted. They may never know what the hell it is. He could have taken a pre-workout in another state or off, just walked in and got something off of RTD, got it, and it was tainted. Who knows? So
is it then do you have any idea their policy? Like, and you take the big picture.
Yeah.
Hundreds of clean tests. One, let's again pretend January, February, March. Let's pretend that scenario. Took one, it was clean. Took one, it was dirty. Took one, it was clean again. Is it at their discretion, or are they like, look, I'm sorry, it's still positive?
It's arguable. Okay. So if I was representing him and those things stood true, I would say we have hundreds of clean tests. If the NFL keeps samples, go test them for this. If I'm going to know my client, so I'm going to make the assumptions that Julian Edelman's clean, right? I'm going to say, go back and test every other sample that you still have stored. If those tests clean of this, he was clean before and he's clean after, this substance would likely be in his system for X period of time. Therefore, something screwy happened because he would not take this substance to be good in an off season, outside of OTAs, outside of the season, outside of all these things. He's not going to take this performance enhancing drug in the middle of this dead zone. Yeah. For any reason. There's no reason.
So some of it too is he has to, hopefully, Julian, if you're listening, have somebody like you or whatever that really knows and understands, because as we've learned with the legal system, especially I don't know where this is going, if it's an arbitrator, I don't know how they appeal this, but people who sit on top and listen to some of these stories, they have no idea what the F is going on. And even when you explain it to them, they're like, I don't get it. So upheld.
Yeah. And I mean, we've experienced that ourselves in the legal system, is that it's got to be properly explained in a very concise,
very concise, easy way. Cause they're like, there should be listening, but they're like, Like,
I don't get, but you tested positive. You tested positive,
Right.
So someone's going to have to come in and really defend him. I have an inclination that his suspension is going to be pushed off after the appeal process or multiple appeal process. I think the courts are going to tie it up. That's what I think. If he's relatively clean, if he tested, it was a clean, dirty, clean scenario. Again, because there's no benefit. Does that make sense? There's no it's not a recreational drug. It's not those things. Those were ruled out from what I read on the report. So it wasn't like he was out and he snorted some coke or did some pot or took some LSD or did some whatever the hell. Those are all ruled out. So what the hell is it?
Yeah.
Because if he definitely tested clean a month before.
Okay.
We know that from the reports. I don't know if he was tested after. Usually if you test positive, right? they get you again. Right. So if he was clean on that one, then I'm like, hey, man, like, you can't take growth. There's no testosterone. There's no any of those things. So I'm curious is that if he did some stem cell type of deals with his knee or just generally, and I'm wondering if that results in some sort of unidentifiable test. I don't know because we don't have the substance.
There's nothing against doing stem cell.
No. Nope.
Very curious.
Yeah. So, I wonder if that was part of it. We don't know. So I'll have to see on that one.
Believe in you.
Yeah. So my guess is this is going to get pushed off if he serves in a suspension it's going to be either at the end of the season or next season. Which, if the Patriots do well and they go to another Super Bowl and win, he's going to retire anyway.
They'll retire.
They'll all retire.
Brady's done. They're all done.
Yeah. I think they're all done anyway, but I'm just saying.
So too.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Get you, mother. Duh.
So, real quick, because we went to the Super Regionals on last Monday.
Yeah, you and Coy did.
Holy
awesome.
Crap, it was hot.
Yeah, it was 100 degrees.
It was
in Austin, Texas.
I don't know if y'all know about Texas heat, but we decided to go. The game was at noon.
At Dishwalk Field. So you're basically, there's no shade. There's no
no shade.
There was no wind, a few clouds.
No. And we got there at 10. You know, he got to get some autographs, and Cody Clemens was one of them, and, you know, a few other people. So he was, you know how he is at football games. So baseball, he's excited. And I'm like, hey, the game doesn't start for 2 hours. Let's get in the shade. Oh, can we stay? Can we just go over there? I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm like, well, let's go ahead and get food. I'm not hungry. I'm like, well, I am. And once the game starts, blah, blah. So we're 3 rows up. Again, no shade, right?
Yeah.
It gets to, it's like the 4th inning. And I'm like, feeling like I have to throw up. I drank.
Getting heat stress in the middle.
4 of those large Dasani waters.
Yeah.
Gone.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, to the point that, I mean, I put so much sunblock on that you could see it. It was on me, right? And it just got to the point that we got, they had a cooling station.
Yeah.
So they have these buckets of like ice water and towels and whatever. The nice gentleman next to Coy brings him one.
Welcome to baseball.
I'm like, what happened to women?
Kids are taken care of.
They are. They're very well taken care of, especially at Longhorn games, right? And I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, how wrong is it to take your 6-year-old's wet towel? I'm like, can I borrow that for a second? So I borrowed it for a little bit, and I was like, oh my gosh. He's sitting there comfortable as shit, right? Because he's got this icy towel on his neck. He's got a hat on. He's got a short sleeve shirt on. I'm in a tank top. The sun is, here. I have a long sleeve, so I'm covering my neck and my shoulders. And then I'm like, man. So I cover my legs, and I take it back, and I cover here. We go up again. It was hot. I got a sunburn. On our way home, I wanted to leave a little bit early because I really had to throw up.
Yeah.
And getting out of Austin in rush hour traffic was not the best, right?
No.
I was so messed up. I knew I had to stop for gas when we stopped at Buc-ee's. I totally forgot to get gas because I was so concerned with
get your stuff.
I'm like, electrolytes, I need electrolytes. And now I'm out of the sun. I have a shirt and sports bra that's soaked because I was putting so much. Needless to say, it was a great experience. They went off to Omaha. Unfortunately, yesterday's game blew.
Didn't do well yesterday.
They did. I mean, the opposing pitcher, Knight, he's 13-0 now.
Now he's 12-0 coming into it. One of the best pitchers in college baseball.
3rd round draft pick of Baltimore, I think.
Yes.
3rd round. I mean,
and take it. I mean, game 1 or the day before was going through the same thing. Is normally you see a pretty good amount of home runs in Omaha.
The wind.
Both the 2 games the day before and our game up until the 6th inning before the rain delay.
The rain.
They were hitting into a 10 to 15 mile an hour wind directly coming from center field to home plate.
There were balls that were like
no home runs. No home runs. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Because we had 4 or 5 before the 6th inning that hit within 3 feet from the fence on the warning track.
On the track.
Which would have been super long gone if there wasn't a 12. I think 12 miles an hour was the slowest it was.
Yeah. Well, it went down to 11, 10, but that was
yeah.
very rare. Cody did not have a good day. It was
No.
it's necessary. We were deep into our bullpen. I mean, deep.
We were deep, but you got to do it. So, think college baseball is a weird thing. Okay, they went big in the 5th and 6th inning. Mm-hmm. They had 2 big innings. Part of it was that huge rain delay.
Yeah,
which wasn't helpful at all. 3 times we left bases loaded. 3 or 4 times we left 2 guys on.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
So I mean, it wasn't like we weren't getting on base.
We had opportunities.
Yeah.
It we needed it.
Yeah.
We needed Cody. He. I mean, I don't know how many strikeouts. 2 or 3.
Hit 2 yesterday. Yeah.
So we play Florida tomorrow at 1:00. I don't feel good.
I feel good about that one. We are almost identical as Texas Tech.
Oh, okay.
You know,
well,
and we played them close all year, and we finished ahead of them in the Big 12 because we won the Big 12 championship, obviously, but barely. It was basically, you just call it like a tiebreak thing. I mean, you could flip a coin and they're both, but we play very similar. Pitching's very similar. Hitting's very similar. I mean, we're almost identical to them.
Okay, well then maybe
and
I feel good.
Florida, I feel like got really lucky, like I was telling you, especially with that whole last game with Auburn.
I'm sorry.
Going to reach, punk, knocks it out and gives them the home run.
That's rough, man.
That hurts.
I don't know how you get past that.
I wish I could play that on the thing.
That's freaking hilarious.
I don't know the rules on that.
Florida. So we play tomorrow 1. We're in the losers bracket. We can come out of it.
Yeah.
But yesterday's game was just it just deflated me.
I'm going to go out. I'm not surprised we lost. I will not be surprised if we make it to the finals of our bracket. Mm-hmm. But as you know, something like 3 or 4 times ever has the team from the losers bracket gone on. Yeah. So I thought that'll be.
They gave me some stat yesterday that it was like the team that wins always wins their first game.
Yeah.
Like always.
Yeah. I'm like, you got to be.
It was like always.
Yeah.
Yes. So, anyways, we'll continue our support.
No, it was good. It was good. It's fun. I mean, they got to the College World Series. You know,
the 36th time in history.
The more than any other team.
Out of how many? I mean, it's like how many years? They said the College World Series has been around for. It was like 70-something years.
Yeah, I was going to say 78, but I could be wrong.
And
with
they've
that.
been 36.
Yeah,
that's freaking crazy.
Yeah. That's fun. I love it. You know, like get out here with that.
Hook 'em.
Yeah, you know. Okay, so we have a little bit of time left. We got about 15 minutes to swing. So we'll go into the more of the.
What do you want? Oh, one of
you and me stuff, man.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Since I've never been on your show, whatever.
Okay, I take a heap load of shit. Because,
all the time.
Yes, all the time. And let's be clear, I am more conservative than liberal, but not, but very situational.
Very situational.
Very situational. Like, I need specifics. I don't like blanket laws. I don't like blanket statements. I don't like any of these things. Right. I like equality, but I don't like inequality to get to equality.
Correct.
All those types of things.
Correct.
You know, we get all that kind of stuff. Basically Buddhist. Mm-hmm. And as far as pretty much how everything goes, but agnostic. So it's just covering these things because I get fucking slammed. Dude, you had the hate and the death threats and the holy crap. Like, it's crazy.
I don't understand. I what baffles me is that how much hate people have in their hearts, right? Yeah. I may not agree with somebody, but I don't like, oh my God, you're so fucking stupid. I hate you and blah, blah, blah. How dare you? You're going to hell and all your kids are going to hell. Like, I don't get where that comes from.
Right.
Right. You know, one thing that we've discussed before and that I love is regardless, we were talking about baseball, right?
Yeah.
Baseball, a baseball game, a little league game or whatever. And I was sitting there at one of our son's games and I was just, I don't know why it hit me all of a sudden. I said, you know, we were blessed with a very good team. Good in the sense of the kids were great. All the parents were great. And I said, you know what? I don't think I can guarantee that all of us come from different backgrounds. We have different political views. We have different religions. But here it doesn't matter.
It didn't matter at all.
And it shouldn't matter.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
Because the way you live your life is the way you live your life. And the way I live mine is the way I live mine.
Yeah.
I'm not committing any crimes. I am not, you know, in your face about, you know, if your son is gay or if your daughter is... I don't care.
Can he swing a bat? Can he catch a ball? And can he throw well?
Right.
Woohoo!
And then again, as a whole, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care, right? Things that I do care about is the lack of parenting that exists in America these days. So those things bother me. So, you know, I try to get to a point where things don't, quote, unquote, bother me as much. But the reason that bothers me so much is that I'm seeing the trend in how our kids are being raised. And we're wondering, you know, what's going on with the next generations? Why are there so many mass shootings? Why is this? Why is that? And, you know, I don't want to get into the debate of spanking, But everyone's like, well, that's why kids are assholes, because they're not spanked. I'm like, no, they're assholes because you don't parent them. You give them a phone and you're like, go away. I'm busy. I'm on Facebook, or I'm drinking with my friends. Like, get the fuck out of here. Excuse me. You know, parent your children. Sit down at dinner.
Yeah.
Have discussions. Have open discussions. Teach, because, I mean, I'm 40 and I'm still always learning, right?
Yeah.
I'm just seeing more and more. You feel like kids learn what they learn from school, and that's it. And it's like you're out, right? You bark at them in the morning to get dressed. Did you do your homework? Blah, 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 blah. Stop fighting with your brother. What are you really teaching them?
Right.
Right. So anyways, that's off topic.
Well, what I like, and I'll tie a little bit of sports in this, is that I took a boatload of hate because I had posted something in regards to transgender people, mostly teenagers. The article that I posted was about teenagers. High school students competing in various sports opposite of their birth gender. Right. And let me be clear. I mean, I've raised money for the LGBT community. I've done marches for them. I've walked with them. I have friends there. We have close friends that are part of this stuff. I mean, I've fought next to people that were gay. I mean, it's this whole, like, get out of here with that whole, like, I'm a bigot shit. But I was just like raising the question from a science, fairness, and safety perspective. Like, hey, maybe a boy, on hormones or not, maybe a boy shouldn't be competing with girls. Maybe that's not fair. Maybe that's not safe. Maybe that's something we need to look at. Right? Backed it with a pretty good amount of science. You know, again, coming from my education and things, I probably know a little more than the average person there.
Let's go back here for a second, okay? Because sometimes I go onto your page, sometimes I don't, because I cannot stand the level of hatred that people have when they try to express a point, right? Because it's very rare that you find someone that's like, well, hey, I get your opinion, but how about this? It's, how the fuck do you think you're so fucking blah, 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 bullshit, right? So these people that want to get mad at you, go hide in their safe space or whatever their problem is. At the end of the day, right? Like it or not, we separate competition into boys and girls.
Probably for a good reason.
So stop right there. Little League is one thing and blah, blah, blah. Girls can play in Little League.
Until boys get to the point that their testosterone begins to flow at a pretty good rate, boys and girls can compete together, and they're very equal, and they're very close to each other, and that is very true.
Right. So, girls can play Little League.
Yes.
They do not have to play softball. They can play with the boys, right?
Yes.
Perfectly fine. How many girls do you see?
Yeah, none.
Not many. Okay.
Yeah. Very, very few.
And again, can a woman try out for the NBA as opposed to playing for the WNBA?
Yes.
Yes, they can. How do you know? And this is a serious question. How often does that happen?
I think Brittany Grimes is the only one.
Okay.
And I could be wrong. I believe she is the only one.
So there's probably a reason.
Yeah. She was. People hate it. Arguably, she is in women's basketball, the Jordan, the LeBron, the KD. That's who she is in women's basketball. And she wasn't good enough to make the D League in the NBA.
And there are some, it doesn't matter the sport, whether it's, football, basketball, whatever. So let's take, Jen Welter, right? So played on women's teams, blah, blah, blah. And then, she got to the point where she played with men. Yeah. And, they got to the point they're like, well, what are we supposed to do? And she's like, you hit me. That's why I'm here. Yeah. And she's like, I am fully aware that if I step on this field, she's like, don't treat me like a girl. Right. I'm very, and we've discussed this before. I'm like, well, how is that possible? How do they not kill her? And you're talking about, there is a difference, when you are a little bit smaller and a little bit lighter, and how that impact comes on you. And if you hit properly, yes, she can take it, right? It's not like she's going to die, right? So she's like, yeah, I got hit. And there were times it sucked, but that's, if we're gonna say we belong, we have to. That's
how it's got to be.
That's how it's got to be, right? And that's a perfect example. I'm not asking for special treatment. Yeah. I'm saying if I'm going to step in the trenches with boys, treat me like a boy. But you know what I mean. If I'm in your game, play your game, right? So, again, what it comes down to is we separate men and women for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And not because it's fine, you know what?
No.
That's just what it is.
You go to me at the pinnacle of my fighting age and career
Mm-hmm.
and tell me I've got to fight a girl. I'm not. I'll forfeit the match. You know? So then it's like, so now my career's going to get hurt because you're pitting me against a woman, and I don't think that's appropriate to destroy a woman in a ring.
Right.
Now, granted, it would be almost impossible because of my weight and all this other kind of stuff. But take some of these smaller guys, these 135 pounds, 140 pounds, and 150 pound fighters.
Mm-hmm.
You take one of the lower end UFC guys, number 15 in UFC, fighting number 1 of the women. 99 out of 100 times, the guy's going to destroy the girl. It's irrefutable.
I don't, this is what I don't get. How do you argue science?
Right.
How do you argue it? I don't care. You'd want to be fair and blah. I get it. I want equality. I want fairness. I want all those things as well. Unfortunately, men as a whole, it's a saying because it's true. Bigger, stronger, faster.
Yeah.
It's just what it from long time ago, right?
Yeah.
That's just what it was.
And so now, out of 3.5 billion women,
Mm-hmm.
plus or minus on this earth, are you going to find a couple
Absolutely.
that can compete with men equally? Yes.
Absolutely.
A couple out of billions. You have a better chance to win the lottery 3 consecutive times than to find those women.
It's,
Right? I mean, that's...
I struggle with this, because I'm a woman and I get slammed a lot because I want equality. Unfortunately, I understand. I cannot fight you.
Yeah.
I can't,
Yeah.
right? And so we raised 2 sons. You want to be fair and you want this, that, the other. I'm of the mind then if you want it to be fair, if a girl kicks my son, he's going to kick her back. You can't. She's a girl. Then don't kick my son.
Right.
Why? Why is it not fair for him to kick her back? Well, he's bigger than her. Oh.
So now it's not equal anymore.
So it's not equal, right? That's what I don't understand. And again,
you can't
I don't
pick
think,
and choose equality.
Right. And I don't think he should hit women. Let's stop right there. I don't think that's correct. What I am saying is if you're telling me it's okay for your daughter to close up her fist and punch my son in the face,
and he cannot retaliate.
And he can't retaliate, I've got a problem.
Yeah.
So I make the example like bigger just so that you understand how off I believe the theory is and the thinking is that and we've because you hear it all the time with domestic abuse and all kinds of things, and women do abuse men.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So let's stop right there. And so then again, people pick and choose when they want to say, well, men are bigger and strong. That big man, how could he punch a woman? Okay, so again, you are the one saying men are bigger and stronger.
Right.
That's what you're saying. Because this woman, I've seen it. I've seen it usually when women are drunk. They get real brave.
Yes.
And they want to push, and you see the guy go, stop. I'm telling you to stop right now. Like, don't.
Yeah.
Push, slap in the face. And then you get to the point, well, if she has an open hand, then that's fine. And if she closes her don't.
If you strike another human being, that is called assault.
It's assault. And what do you think? Okay, so then and women know this, and this is what irks me. They know they're pushing because they're waiting. They're trying to get you over the edge.
What's a power struggle at that point? Typically the female's power comes from the push, you struck me, now I own you.
Correct. So we know. Yeah. Every person, man and woman, has that threshold. Don't do it. I'm telling you. Oh, what are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
You're asking for it. You are asking for it, right? Like if I ever see a man, especially you, and it's a different story because you have PTSD and TBI and the whole thing. Once you get the look in your eye, I'm out. Not that you're ever going to hit me.
Yeah.
But when you are at a point when your emotions or whatever, you're at a different level. But men, when they're at a point where, okay, it's built up, walk away.
Yeah. When a
Walk away.
this is going to sound sexist. When a man postures up in an aggressive manner in a fight with you, the girlfriend, wife, whatever, the girl, get out.
Well, I mean, your
Walk
testosterone
away.
at that point, right? I mean,
You cannot. I'm waiting for the clinical diagnosis of this. Okay, at that point, when a man is going to rage, they are in a position, in my opinion, based on science and psychology, which is also a science, they're not in a state of normal psycho behavior.
Mm-hmm.
They're in a state of psychosis. They are not themselves. They are raging. They cannot be held 100% accountable for their actions at that point. Sort of, because I'm about accountability. So let's follow. It's a gray area. It's temporary insanity to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's from being in that position, in battle, in fights, in wars, in these things. You're not. It's not. You're not in a place of saying, oh, that's a smaller person, or that's this, or that's that. It gets into a massive just destruct mode.
Well, I just don't, and it's how much are we asking of men, especially, right? So if a woman push, I punch you in the face, I spit at you and whatever, and you get to the point that you grab and you forcefully grab and shake. Oh my God, he was going to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Because I don't, the reason I'm not friends with women is because I don't like that game.
Yeah.
Of fuck you. Like I have a.
So one story, I'll leave
life.
names and places and identities out of this. I was, I think it was Dallas, somewhere in Texas. I don't remember if it's Dallas or Austin. One of those two, at a bar picking some friends up again, because I was always the guy to go save everybody. And I learned this post fact. So there to pick him up. He was in the bathroom throwing up. Got him out. As I'm walking him out, a rather stout lesbian lady approached me, got in my face, and started poking me with her beer bottle.
Why?
I have no idea. I don't know if he had an altercation with her. She was drunk.
Okay.
So when somebody's drunk, even after the fact, you don't get clear information, right? She's drunk. We learned after the fact that she was lesbian. That I'm just saying that as part of the story. Okay. Whatever. She was rather stout. She was a big girl. Poking me with the beer bottle, right? And so I'm got my guy, right? I'm getting him out of there so we take him home so he can be safe. And I'm like, get out of here. And I knocked the beer bottle off like this, right? Where the beer bottle broke. She raised it up at me. Okay. So at this point, I drop my friend. So then she swings and strikes me in the face with her fist. But the bottle's here. So she went down, struck me in the face. I'm kind of, again, it's a female. At this point, I don't know what this is. It's a female. I'm watching the bottle. I don't give two shits about her fist. Right? I mean, I'm a professional fighter. I don't fucking care. If I get hit, I grab the arm that's in the bottle, spin her around, shove her against the wall, and I'm grabbing the shit out of her wrist, right? Wait for security to get over there. The bouncers. They get over there. Super long story short, I had to go to 4 court appearances to defend myself because I bruised her wrist.
And tell me you got off.
Yeah, no, it wound up being that I was nothing. I mean, because, now back then there wasn't cameras, there wasn't all this kind of stuff. It was all who saw what and who this and who that. And luckily, one of the security guys saw 90% of the whole thing. And there was basically it came down to, you're lucky he just did this. Like, you struck him first. You had a weapon in your hand, and you're lucky this was all happened. 4 court appearances. 4 court appearances for that.
I hate it. Like I'm sorry. You don't get a pass because you're a woman.
Right.
You don't.
Right.
You don't.
Right.
I don't want that special treatment because I'm a woman. Right. I don't want, and of course I look at things very differently again because I'm raising sons, and I don't think, I'm not even getting into this, but all of the false rape accusations and blah blah blah, get the fuck out of here. Like I'm like, oh my God, don't talk to girls. Just don't talk to them. They're crazy.
Well, you hear stuff like this. You hear things like this, rape and all this. And, a lot of women are like, well, I shouldn't have to worry about wearing a short skirt out in public. Okay. On the surface, I agree with that. But it's not okay to wear raw bacon over your shoulder and walk through the jungle and expect nothing to happen. Right? These people are predators.
Correct. Yeah.
They don't think in the same way that we think. Therefore, don't wear bait for the predator. Well, but I want to, I work out, or I want to show myself, or I want to feel sexy. Great, I understand that. But again, don't walk around with 2 assault rifles and the enemy's weapon in their territory and expect not to get shot.
It's tough.
There's a thing.
And it's all, some of it's in opinion, because again, I'm 40 years old now, right?
Yeah.
The way I dressed when I was 19 and 20, I would if I could go back, I would not dress that way.
Right.
I just wouldn't. There are classier ways to be sexy if you're proud of your body, or if you're whatever, right?
Yeah.
So, and I'm not going to slam these people, because I'll look at girls in the gym and I'm like, oh, whatever. I'm like, okay, if I was that age, would I be doing the same thing?
Yeah.
Probably.
I
right?
understand it.
I get it, right? But when it comes down to it, the reasons that we work out, or the reasons that we dress the way we do, at the end of the day, we care what other people think.
Yes.
We know people are looking at us. That's why we do it. Otherwise, like, some of the best people that I know are like, you know what? I just ate all this. I'm fat and happy. I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
Because they're fine with it.
Yeah.
And I'm not knocking it. What I'm saying is that's just the different mindset. The other is, I'm going to get dressed up and put makeup on and go to the gym and put my eyelashes on because people are, that's what it is.
Right.
That's why you're doing it.
Right.
You're not doing it for yourself. Get the fuck out of here.
Right.
You're not doing it for yourself.
Right.
Right.
Well, flip that. They are, because they're trying to fulfill some level of an insecurity or lack of self-confidence, and they're trying to give themselves a boost to make up for some other deficiency they
And
have in
again,
their life.
I'm not totally, because again, I'm a very different person than I was when I was 19, 20, right?
Yeah.
Now I wear baggy shirts and baggy pants to the
Yeah.
gym, and I'm like, don't look at me. For the love of God, don't look at me, right? But to your point, it's just
there's accountability, and if you act a certain way, you have to be honest with yourself on what the reaction from the people around you are likely going to be. You have to be aware of that.
You have to understand the situation, right? So just like my dad used to say, or I think a lot of parents say, nothing good happens after midnight.
Right.
Nothing. So if you're out after midnight, even though your intentions are good, and even though you may not be not understand where you are.
Right.
People are out drinking to let loose and have a good time.
Yes. And I'll even go as far as, and I get that this sucks, but even if you're a marathoner and a triathlete and you're a female and you like to go jogging and you're jogging in your sports bra, it may not be a good idea to jog after dark in places where there's lots of trees, bushes, and dark, shadowed areas. I'm just saying.
That's about safety.
Well, and that's what I'm saying is that, you get a lot of that hate from people. But kind of to go back real quick, with the hate and the things that I get for what I post, I'm starting to get, I said this yesterday, I'm starting to get people on my pages to understand who I am now. People are starting to kind of wake up and realize, like, oh, wait, you really are just asking a question, and you really are kind of challenging the way people think on both sides, on all sides of this, and which that feels good.
Right.
So that if any reduction in the hate, that's good. But I still get some. And this was something, I forwarded this to you. Brett Weinstein had spoken to Congress about some of these things, about using the First Amendment to squash other people's First Amendment's protected rights. In short, and some short clip and the whole thing. And one of the people on the panel, one of the congressmen, I don't remember his name off the head, he asked the question, he says, okay, in these safe spaces that we have at universities, can I state President or Donald Trump is the president of the United States? Can I state that in a safe space? And no, you can't, because that could likely offend someone. And so that's the reason I say that, is because even on my pages, a lot of times I'll say, oh, well, President Trump stated this. If he did something good or bad or whatever, if I'm slamming him or if I'm liking what he did, either one, I say President Trump. That gets people worked up.
People need to get the fuck over it. This is the problem, is with social media and with such a polarizing president, going from Obama to Trump, the tribalism, and everything is very extreme. There is no gray. So the second you say President Trump, or the second you say anything about illegal immigration, it's immediately you're on one side or the other.
Yeah.
Right? So I can't say I am against illegal immigration. My parents were legal. they were legal coming in here, right? But I also believe that there has to be a way to deal with this humanely in terms of the dreamers. And I'm not saying kick them all out. So that can't all coexist. Yes, but it can.
Right.
I don't think people should just be able to come in here and do whatever the fuck they want when I have to follow rules and laws. And this is how we maintain control and order.
Right.
Right. That's it. And so, random example. It's parallel. It's not exactly the same, but when you look at let's say Ferguson, right?
Yeah.
So the whole thing happened, the police and the whole fuck you police, fuck blah, 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 blah. So then they get out, right?
Yeah.
For the most part. And then the people are like, well, where the fuck? Where'd you go? We need you. We need order. This is getting crazy. Right. Right.
Right. And I get how you're connecting those two. And it's a deal that immigration's a messy subject because so many were let in illegally. Right. That's why it's messy. Right. How do we deal with them? And if you let them become citizens, who do we deny? Because you're so right. One quick point on that, and a question raised is that very intelligent people, this is not one person's view, this is a collective deal. Why should we as a country reward illegal immigration? Correct. If you come here illegally, why should we reward you for that? While we're denying people who are trying and fighting to get here the right way, saving money and scrounging and doing the paperwork and doing these things to try to do it the correct way.
It is.
Why should we reward?
We shouldn't.
Illegal immigration.
We shouldn't. And the thing is, people.
And now, let me take one more step. Dreamers are not illegal immigrants. They didn't have a choice.
They didn't have a choice. So
they
that's,
don't fall into
and I
this.
think people get all like, well, I was brought here by my parents when I was 9 and blah, blah, blah.
That's
a totally different subject.
Right.
And again, I'm for figuring that out. It's very complicated, but I'm for figuring out how to, it wasn't their choice.
Right.
Sorry. You know, the problem is people are so quick. The second I mention any hot topic, Trump, South Korea, abortion, immigration, they immediately, the flag, kneeling in the flag, they just want to argue.
Yeah.
They want to argue their point and that you're not human and that's so inhumane and you have no compassion. Fuck you. That's not the truth.
Right.
Okay? I have a lot of compassion. What's happening is you take a subject, you argue all the way around it because you want to be loud and instead of saying, hey, no, look, let's take the flag. I don't want to discuss it for a long time. It's not about the flag. Great. You did it. The floor is open for you. Now let's talk about it. But all the people who are barking about it's not about the flag, they're not talking about the issue.
Right.
Okay. If it's social injustice, then let's talk about that.
Right.
Then let go of the flag. Well, no. Blah, 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 blah. Then you're racist. Oh, my God. I think you have two brain cells that are like fighting.
I'm going to take a little bit of what I read another smart person post this morning or yesterday.
Another intellectual.
If you are a social justice warrior or you are a warrior in quotations for any cause and you spend hours a day posting and debating and things, even in a humane, appropriate, just manner with logic and reason, and you have not yet spent at least 25% of that time contacting your local representatives at a federal level, state level, local level, then you're a special kind of stupid.
Yeah. It's, I think we talk about status, right? We talk about self-esteem, self-worth, and a lot of people, I think, in terms of this tribalism, the second you hang on to something and you shout from the rooftops that you support this cause, you're important. Yeah. And you feel like you're behind something, which is something that we all want to do. And again, I'm not against the things that, in general, the things these people stand for. It's the way they go about it. What I can't stand is they'll get on somebody like you and you're hateful and you're ignorant and you're a bigot and you have no compassion, but they're the ones screaming all the hateful words. Right. You're saying, here's my logic, here's my reasoning, debate me, let's talk about it. Yeah. You're stupid, you're an idiot, you're racist. Bah, 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 bah. So again, people, all I'm asking is that you, every time you feel like you want to bark, step back for a second. I think this is the problem, though. I think some people's arguments are so weak that they have nothing else. Right. So they take one thing and it's, well, blah, blah, blah. And then when you challenge it and they're like, well, that's just not it. That's just stupid. I get that so much. Well, then you're just stupid. Okay. And there's some things I can agree to disagree on. And it's very, very tough when, again, topic I really don't want to get into, but abortion, right?
Right.
I can see where, the opposing side would be like, well, actually, because it's still inside the body and this, and I'm like, well, I think everybody should get, has a right to life. And then you give me examples of, well, what if somebody's gang raped? Do you really want them to have to keep the baby? So there's a lot of things that there's no perfect answer for me, but I'm like, don't scream at me like I'm an asshole.
Yeah, you're hateful, or if you're pro-choice, you're a murderer and you're Satan, and if you're pro-life, then you hate you're racist.
I hate women.
You hate women, and you're like,
hate women.
It is perfect. I know a boatload of people that are situational with that.
Yeah.
They are generally pro-life, but they understand their circumstances that are involved. That
I just don't think it should be birth control. I don't think that you're like,
yeah.
well, I slept with Joe and I don't have a baby.
It shouldn't be.
Get the fuck out of here.
And on the flip side, we have measures in place to deal with stuff like that.
Like the morning after
pill, yeah.
So if you get raped,
Plan B pill or whatever. There's a bunch of different names.
So yeah, there's different. But anyways, it's a very difficult time for me because I feel like I have to keep everything happy and funny and blah, 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 because I just don't want the negative energy. I don't want the argument, because if I say something of, that I post something as simple as North Korea is sending remains home of blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Right. I'm like, what kind of hate am I going to get for this?
Yeah, like I did this morning. And in a matter of 30 minutes, I had 4 or 5 DMs that were like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you trying to trigger people? Why are you this? And I'm like, no, as a veteran, I'm proud as shit. I don't care. And I put this on there. I was like, I don't care if the local fucking janitor of my library negotiated us getting remains. I'm happy. That is a win for us.
Everybody stop with the trigger bullshit, okay? And I think what pisses me off the most about that is I live it in my own way, right?
Yeah.
I live with somebody who has PTSD and TBI, right? Who has, legitimate triggers.
Yeah.
Right? That I have to jump in front of like they're bombs, right? Because God forbid there's a smell or a sight or a thought, whatever the hell it is that sends him into whatever state he's in. So when you're just upset because I say, Trump, get the fuck out of here.
Right.
Get the fuck out. I'm so sorry.
If you're triggered by hearing Donald Trump as the president of the United States.
Because I'm sorry.
You need help.
You need help. Because regardless, he says a lot of dumb shit.
Oh, yeah. No, he does.
He says a lot of dumb shit.
Holy crap, yes.
And he does a lot of dumb shit.
Yes.
Right? I did not like Obama. I'm not a fan of Obama. I'm still not a fan of Obama. However, at the time, he was my president. Mm-hmm. He needed to succeed for our country to succeed. Yes. Now there's people. Is it Schumer? Who is it?
I believe it was Schumer. That said
Whoever
that.
it is, it's like, I hope our economy fails.
Yeah.
Just to piss people off and to piss Trump. Like, legit? You hope our economy fucking fails and that everybody is put in this dire situation just so Trump doesn't get a win?
Yeah.
To me, that's fucked up. How do you not see that that's fucked up? How do you say it is okay for a woman to hold a severed head, like of a severed head, or say, I'm glad that Barbara Bush is dead. Fuck that witch. Like, that's free speech and that's okay. But I can't say the word Trump because you're triggered.
Yeah.
I can't, people. I just can't. This is why I cannot be on your show, because I would get so much hate mail. And I can't handle it because there's no logic. There's no reason.
Right. And that's exactly the point. Is I love to discuss and debate people with opposing views with me, that it's based in reason and logic. Logic doesn't define necessarily right and wrong. Mm-hmm. There can be polar opposite views based in logic and reason, mm-hmm. and that both parties can be happy about that and be like, you know what? I totally disagree with you, but I get it.
Right.
I understand where you're coming from. I just disagree.
Right. And that's the thing, is that I think you've always said, and people fail to see, you do not have to agree with them.
No.
You don't. And you're not saying, okay, well, if you don't like my view, then you can get off my page. That's not it at all.
No.
Come at me with logic and reason of why you feel that way, instead of, well, fuck you, you're a racist. Okay.
Stop spreading your vitriol. Oh, you're not nicer than thou.
You're like,
fuck.
Okay, well, I'm half Native American and I'm married to an Asian woman and I was raised Korean and I was, I faced racism like every day. But okay, it's not the same. Okay. And again, I always start conversations with, I have no idea how they feel, right? So
Right.
whether you're talking about a black person or if you're talking about this person or that person, I will start I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like to live in their skin. I don't know what it's like to live in their body. So I can't say, well, this is how I would feel, because I don't know. I don't, like, I don't like when I feel like people are following me at the store.
Right.
I'm like, you think I'm going to steal something? Like, what the fuck? So,
Right.
and that's the thing is, I try to stay out of a lot of things because I don't know. But if you're going to come at me and say, this is what it is, and it doesn't make a goddamn sense to me, right? I'm going to argue that with you.
Right.
Well, you don't know. Okay, well, sure.
Explain it.
Sure.
Because if I ask you, like, hey, you know what? I disagree with where you're coming from, but I don't understand where you're coming from. Explain it to me. It's not saying your idea is bullshit. It's saying, dude, I don't get it. Try to explain it to me.
And when they can't.
And when they cannot, and then they come back with, oh, you're a bigot, you're a race, you're this, you're, a Nazi, you're fucking alt-right, you're whatever the hell.
And that's the thing. I think I wish people, before you come at somebody with name calling,
right,
step back for a second, because we've said this before. How you view people has a lot to do with you.
Right.
It has a lot to do with what you think of yourself and, where you are at in your life, right? So typically, a lot of the people I know that are more Buddhist than anything, they are so happy.
Yeah.
They are so happy. They literally could not care less. And it's not that and that's the thing is when people are like, well, I don't give a shit. You do give a shit. Because people who actually don't give a shit radiate this, like, I love everybody. I love happy that I live on this planet. I'm happy that, I have food that it's just a very different energy when you really don't care.
Right.
Because they just love. They radiate love.
Yep.
Right.
We have several friends that are that way.
Oh, and I just love being around them. And I get around other people and I'm like,
Yeah.
it like hurts me inside. I sense that energy and it makes me feel yucky. And I'm like, oh, you're nasty. Like, you're a nasty, vile person.
Yeah.
I don't want to be around people like that.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is you're never going to change anything by being nasty, vile, loud, and like that. To me, yes, you get a lot of hate for it, but it you have to get people to think, and you have to get people don't want to grow, and I think that's part of the problem, right? It's very uncomfortable. When we got together, before we got married, I was challenged with a lot of things of, why are you Catholic? Why do you think this way? Well, it's just how I was always raised. Okay, but why? And I didn't want to answer it because I didn't have an answer.
You never thought about it.
That's what I was told.
Yeah.
I was told I'm Catholic.
Yeah. And I will tell you this, and I'll close with this. The greatest win for me in social media or discussions or things that matter is to have someone with an opposite view from me have themselves have a better understanding of that view, not change the view, and feel good about us disagreeing. That is, if I could get that is, for me, is the biggest win I could get in any sort of discussion or debate or anything.
Because that shows that they've opened their mind a little bit.
Right. I'm not looking to convert people. I'm not looking to change minds. If I do, based on reason, great. If I don't, great. That's not the point. But the fact that if somebody has an opposite view from me and they feel good about having that opposite view, and we can be friends and we can be all those things and such, and that, but they have a more firmly implanted way to articulate it, way to explain it, stance to have, that's a win.
I just feel like, and I'm going to put this here as well, I think when somebody can state an opinion, whether it's in agreement with mine or not, and be logical about it and be reasonable about it and open to what else is out there. I want to say this the right way. They're just better people to be friends with, get along with, right?
Yeah.
Because it's the other side of it. I feel like that it's the hate and it's the blah blah blah. That I actually wonder. I'm like, are you fake?
Right.
Like you see what I'm saying? Like we can disagree on abortion.
Right.
Right. But I'm like, you know what? That doesn't change. To me, that doesn't change who you are on the inside. I understand where you're coming from. We may not agree with it, but as a person, I like you. You're laying it out for me.
Yeah.
So I feel like you're being honest. Whereas I feel like a lot of people that I'm around are so fake because they feel like this is what they need to say and what they need to do, and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, oh no.
They're acting on a script as opposed to intellect.
Right.
Right.
And I'm like, well, then I can't get behind that. I can't get
Yeah.
behind you just jumping on whatever topic is hot at the moment.
Yeah.
And that's all we talk about.
Right.
You want to talk about, I'm like, I'm not changing immigration today. I'm not changing the fact that 85-year-old Joe's racist. I'm not changing that. That's not happening. You know, and oh, well, you don't want to do that. Not today.
Yeah.
Not if that's how you think change is going to come about.
Right.
I'm not on board with it. So
Use social media, use your friends, use your network to work out ideas.
Mhm.
Then put in a concise way and send that to your local representatives.
But I think that's the thing is, again, I know you want to close, but what people are missing about what you're trying to do,
Mhm.
just like when you have kids, whether it's about sex or bullying or whatever, you have to have the conversation.
Right.
Nothing changes and nobody grows, nobody learns anything if you don't have the discussion. So you're saying let's have the discussion.
In line with that, how many times, generally speaking, have you grown from me making you feel insanely uncomfortable?
Many. And I'm not a perfect person. I'm just, again, at 40 years old, I'm still coming to the point where there's a lot of self-discovery.
Yeah.
There's a lot of figuring out who I am because you are very convicted in your beliefs and your logic and ideals, morals, and values, right? I came up a different way.
Yeah.
Very confused. Don't know what the hell's going on. I believe this because this. I believe this because that's what the guy I dated did. I like this, and that's just what I did.
Yeah.
Right? So, nobody, I don't say nobody, people don't like to be challenged generally, right? Especially if there's a chance they're wrong. And if it shakes the foundation of who they supposedly are.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what I believe. Because without that, people forget and they look at the world differently in terms of why we're here, why we exist, our soul, our energy, and what we're here to do, right? They just look at it as, I'm Stephanie. I am a conservative. I'm not a full conservative, but, I'm going to say that. I'm this, I'm that. I stand this firm on immigration. I stand like this with abortion, and that's it. Everybody who believes the same as me, jump on board.
Yeah. That's
and let's all talk about it on social media. No.
not being honest with yourself.
Not being honest, And so, and that's just what's going to happen. You're going to get a lot of hate because people are very situational with what they believe.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you don't care about kids. And, okay, do you drink and drive with your children in the car? A lot of you do. So do you not care about your children? Well, I know my limit. Oh,
wait, what?
So again,
say that again? Yeah.
Situational until a drunk driver kills your daughter. I bet it's a lot different. Mm-hmm. And this is where it gets, you're so harsh. I'm like, no,
it's the truth.
I'm smacking in your face that you don't know what you believe, right? Because you're against guns or you're against this or you're against blah, 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 blah. But you don't want to take away your fun.
Right.
I've asked this to a couple people and people I felt like I could ask it to, like, why do you drink?
More, you know what? More and more people are being honest with that.
They're being very honest with me, but they don't. Some will be like, yeah, you know what? You're right.
Yeah.
Why do you? Because when I stopped drinking, it was because I got to the point that I realized I was self-medicating.
Mm-hmm.
There is no other reason to drink. Well, there's probably to self-medicate. Mm-hmm. People use it for a lot of reasons to give themselves excuses for acting stupid. Mm-hmm. Bro, I was so wasted. I didn't know what I was doing. Blah, blah, blah. To get the courage to talk to somebody or to do something to act a certain way, but you're altering your personality. That's what you're doing, right? So they're like, yeah, da, da, da. I'm like, okay. Well, so then in doing that, it is very clear that when you drink alcohol, it affects your decision making, it affects your reaction time, it affects all kinds of things. You're going to get in a car
with other lives,
with your children,
right? Fucking crazy, yeah. That blows my mind.
And then there's places that, like the movie theater, where mostly kids are going, or you're going with your kids, and they serve you alcohol. Are you fucking kidding me?
Grocery stores.
They were having like a baseball game. I'm like, stop it.
Yeah.
Because there's so much. This is how the world works.
It's money, man.
It's money.
It's so much money.
You're not going to take alcohol out of restaurants. You're not going to take it out of football games. You're not going to take because.
I mean, one of my favorite places to go, nameless. It's not the name of it. I'm saying nameless. Would not exist if it weren't for a bar.
Correct.
Wouldn't exist.
And so again, the point is, know who you are. Yeah. Know what you stand for. If you're going to believe something, that's fine. Stand behind it.
Yeah.
But say why. I'm like, hey, I don't like this because whatever. You may hate me for it, but just like I'm sure all the women are. I said a lot of shit today. They're gonna hate me.
Yeah.
You want equality? Let's be equal. Don't give me an opportunity just because I'm the only girl.
Yeah.
Okay, so sorry, real quick. Like Ninja Warrior.
Yeah.
I loved it because it was like men were competing against women. There was like one or two that might do it. It's just whatever. But we had the discussion. You know, certain people are going to be better at this than others.
Right.
Even in terms of their weight, their height,
right.
the length of their limbs. You know, certain things like that matter. They've created a women's division.
Yeah.
Why?
Because the women aren't. How many years has it been going?
A lot. I don't know. A lot.
8, 9. I don't know.
A lot of years.
It's been a lot of years, and so now they have this sampling of a lot of years, and there are a couple of women that are really good at it.
Mm-hmm.
But the really good women have made it further than some men,
mm-hmm.
but are not competitive with that top echelon of men.
Right.
So they made a women's category.
So we'll take the top 5 of the women.
Right. So that means you get more. You're giving more women a chance to compete, which I think is a good thing. Although they're only getting that chance because there's a women's division.
And that's again, I'm fine with that. But the only reason I bring it up is because people have the argument of men and women are equal. Okay, no, and even men and men in this particular thing are not equal because you are not going to do as well as somebody who's whatever height and weight.
Right.
It's just not.
Yeah.
You've said it to me many times. You're like, I would die on that. There's no way I have too much muscle.
Short arms, too much muscle. I can't do. Because of my body weight, I can't do, 3 grip intensive things hanging from.
Right.
It's not going to work.
It's just not.
And then what's the girl that kicks everybody's ass now?
Jessie Graff.
Jessie Graff.
Love her.
Okay. She's great. She does a ton of stuff. She's, generally speaking, I would say with her body type and her athleticism and how dedicated she is to it, is probably the best the women are going to see for a really long time.
I think for a really long time. She finally got through level 2.
Right.
The stage 2, excuse me.
And then there's a boatload of men that have made it to and through stage 3.
Yeah. I mean, she's her athletic ability, her body type, her strength, her flexibility, because she's a stunt woman. She's doing a movie now, which is super private. She's not sharing. But she's got it. She just does. Yeah. And so I think Casey Catanzaro, I think she got lucky on a lot of stuff. She
hit a couple of the right runs with the right obstacles with the right and I'm not trying to take away from her athleticism. She's athletic as shit, but she's 5 foot tall.
Right.
I mean, so it's just a matter of she hit a few of the right things in a row, and then the next couple of years she just hit a couple of the wrong obstacles for her.
Right.
And can't.
And just like anything. Sorry, like there's certain things you cannot do. Like I can't play in the NBA.
Right.
Let's pretend I was skilled enough. I'm not tall enough. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's switched over a little bit in NFL where you can be 5'7" and be competitive now.
The game has changed.
The game as a whole has changed. Yeah. But those guys get the shit kicked out of them.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
They're all going to have a rough life later.
Lastly, touch on this. That Bruins player with CTE or whatever stuff he's got going with his brain. He wrote for the Players Tribune and he was like, I would give it all back. I would give it all back, scratch my name off the trophy, give it all back if I knew the hell I was going to have to live through with all of this head shit. Which is why when
is he just retired or is he still in?
Retired.
He just retired like last year.
I believe he just retired. Yeah. But everyone's like football because there's so much glitz and glamour and money and da-da. But I'm like, if you know the end game.
Yeah.
Like even Rodney Harrison. He didn't specifically say, PTSD, TBI, but he's like, I just have my days.
Yeah.
And I'm downstairs and it's in the dark and I don't want anybody to talk to me. I don't want to. Don't talk to me the wrong way.
Yeah.
Junior Seau.
Oh, man, yeah.
Come on.
And let's be real. I'll be from a scientific perspective and engineering perspective. I do not see any way to develop any sort of helmet or protective measure or anything that's going to reduce that, because there's CTE in soccer players who do headers with a soccer ball, which is ounces, and it's small, teeny tiny little impact. So if that can cause it, there is nothing you can do in any contact sport to reduce that risk. Nothing.
Next time I want to talk about the brawls in baseball.
Oh yeah, that'll be a fun one.
That'll be a fun
Well,
one.
not just baseball, all of them.
But yes, because
Yeah.
that was an interesting topic. But
Yeah, I liked it.
so let me know how much hate mail I get. You know,
They'll be like, "Oh, was that bitch on your thing? Fucking
my wife, fuckers." Well, she only has that opinion because she's your wife. No, I have my own brain.
See, that happens sometimes.
I have
Yes.
my own.
So thank you, everybody. That was fun.
That was fun. So
Yeah.
hands to the face, Unlighten Me. I think you might be on a few more platforms than I am. I'm on SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Google Play Music, and like one other.
Yeah, all those YouTube,
YouTube.
iTunes,
I don't even know.
all those.
If there's hate mail, send it to him. I don't do.
Yeah,
no.
I like it. Keeps me up at night.
Thanks.
Not really. Other things keep me up at night, but whatever.
Yeah,
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Peace.